What is going on, ladies and gentlemen? T to the M to the IDD. Today I have to bring to you the most frequently asked question that I always get in my comment section on this channel. And so I wanted to make a video to you explaining why I choose the lighting that I do. And I also want to give you some feedback so you can learn from my mistakes. So the most asked question is AD400 Pro or AD300 Pro? Which one should I get? Now let's take a step back for those who don't have any lights, and then we'll work our way up to that question. So if you have no lights, I feel like it's kind of divided into two portions. One, you have no light and you're interested in off-camera flash but not really dedicated. And then two, you are fully invested. Maybe you've seen one of your favorite YouTubers use off-camera flash and you're like, I gotta get a light, I need the best light, and I gotta get it now. Now in the first instance, I say if you are just beginning in off-camera flash and you're not too sure where you want to go, here we have the Godox AD200. This will run you about $300, and I believe it's one of the best beginner off-camera flash units without breaking your bank. If you look at some of the other brands, Godox has really made a tremendous impact in the lighting industry and gives you some nice quality for the price. Now, if you're fully invested and you want to get those shots that you've seen and you're like, let's go off camera flash. Now, of course, there are lights like the AD600 and AD1200, but for the sake of this video, I'm going to keep it at about the AD400. And so if you are fully invested, I'm going to tell you to go straight to the AD400. Why? Because you are fully invested and you might as well go straight to something that is going to be able to last you throughout the duration of your photography stint. Now, the AD400, I do not have one, but I have used all of the configurations that I talk about in this video. And I'll tell you why I don't have the AD400 a little bit later in the video. But for now, I'm gonna tell you to go for the AD400. Now you can get the AD400 in two ways. One, you could buy the AD400, which will run you about $650, or you can buy two AD200s with a ADB2 adapter, which effectively allows you to connect both units and give you 400 watts of power. Now, the AD400 unit by itself is about $650. When you do the math, each one of these units costs about $300 a piece, plus the ADB2 adapter will run you about $60. So you're looking at about $660, which is pretty comparable to the AD400. Now, me personally, would I get the AD400 unit or would I get two AD200s with the ADB2? In my opinion, I would get the two AD200s with the ADB2 just because I love flexibility and modularity, and it will allow me to create more with my portraits. Now, if you want to use one light, you can detach it from the ADB2 and just use one AD200. Or if you want to get more creative and make a dramatic two light setup, you can do that too, because you have two units, whereas on the AD400 you only have one. So that is for someone with no light. Now to get to the question, AD400 or AD300 Pro. As you can see, I have the AD300 Pro. And the reason why I have this unit is that YouTube can be a monster in itself, because a lot of the times content like this is driven off of gear. And so when the AD300 Pro came out, I needed another light because I only had the AD200, but also no one really had this Godox AD300 Pro. In fact, I had to buy this from a provider in Canada and have it shipped to me. And so I was one of the few people back in 2020, I believe, that had this Godox AD300 Pro, which allowed me to gain some traction on this channel. And that may be how you in fact found me and are watching me now, just from searching Godox AD300 Pro. Now, I do love the fact that this Godox AD300 Pro has a modeling lamp that is very beneficial as opposed to this Godox AD200. Some of the cons with this light is the fact that with this AD300 Pro, I get far fewer shots than with my AD200. The battery is not as efficient, which you can expect because of the extra 100 watts of light. Now, back to the question of AD400 Pro versus AD300 Pro. Having said all of that, I'm going to tell you from my learning experience, I'm still happy with my AD300 Pro. But if I could do it all over again and somebody asks me now, AD400 Pro or AD300 Pro, I'm going to say, go with the AD400 Pro. Why would I say that? Because for an extra $150, instead of buying this for $500, I can buy the AD400 for $650 and also have the ease of mind to be able to shoot in almost any condition, whereas this light teeters the line to be able to handle any situation that you may find yourself in as a photographer. So that is the main reason why I would go with the AD400 Pro. And me personally, again, I would not go with the AD400 Pro unit itself. I would go with two AD200 with the ADB2, which effectively is an AD400, and still have the modularity and flexibility to create, detach the lights or combine them in whatever situation I find myself. Because if you think about it, let's say you only get an AD400 and you find yourself in a low light situation. Now, the flexibility of the power settings on that light are going to be limited because it's an AD400 versus this AD200. If you have two AD200s and the ADB2 adapter, you have 400 watts of light. But the flexibility comes in when you are able to detach one of the lights, and then you only have an AD200, which you can lower the power settings significantly with the AD200 over the AD400. So that is the question that I always get, AD400 or AD300 Pro. And I gotta tell you, it's gonna be AD400 for me. Maybe you have a use for just one unit, you only want one unit. But for me, I'm gonna go with the AD400, but just in a different configuration. And that's gonna be two AD200s with the ADB2. Now, I wanna hear from you. You let me know, which one would you go with, the AD400 or the AD300 Pro? Now, of course, if you already have an AD200, I'm going to tell you to go and get another AD200 with the ADB2, because you only have to pay $350 more versus buying another AD400 for $650 more. Unless you have a use case where you're like, well, I got an AD200, I really want that AD400. Then, you know, that is to you, to each his own. But if you're saying you just effectively want to have 400 watts of power, that is my suggestion. Let me know in the comments below. Let me know what lights you use. T to the M to the IDD. Peace.